Hello fellow tankers, welcome back. It's Coffee Guy here and you're listening to the second of my World of Tank reviews. And this time I have got a treat for you. It's the new hot off the press British Vickers Mark VI Steadfast light tank. Wargaming have been giving them away this last week as part of their 5th year anniversary celebrations. You're probably way ahead of me and you've already got this and played it. If you haven't, don't worry, you've still got until 10 AM this Tuesday to pick yours up. All you got to do is log in. And I know there's been a lot of mixed responses to this on the forums. A lot of people are a bit frustrated that Wargaming keep giving away tier 2 premiums for anniversary tanks. There's a lot of comments kind of that what would experienced tankers be doing playing down at tier 2? All you're going to be doing down there really is seal clubbing inexperienced players. And in any case, none of the ops down at that level, none of the ops cater for tier 2 gameplay. They're all aimed at tier 5 and above, so there's no point to be down there. And I kind of disagree. I think there's a lot of really good historical tanks. This is one of them. You've got other things like the Tetrarch as well. Panzer IIs, Panzer Is. And I think sometimes that you get down there, that kind of spray and pray, rushing around, is quite refreshing and different. And I really like the look of this tank. I think Wargaming, hats off to them, they've done a fantastic job on it. But it's not just about looks, what about performance? So, jumping straight into the stats here, we can see you've got the 88 horsepower engine spread out in 2 locations at the front and back, giving it a fantastic top speed of 52 kilometers an hour, but a relatively mediocre power to weight ratio. We've also got a Bisa machine gun, firing a drum of 40 rounds. It's 38 damage, 9 penetration, and it's got phenomenal gun depression, 10 degrees, elevation of 37, and you can really use that on the ridgeline. Your radio's at the back, pretty good for its tier. It's got 375 meter signal range. Ammo to the sides, either side of the track at the back, but let's be honest, you're not going to be looking hard to find a weak spot like the ammo on this anywhere you'll pen. 3 crew members, you've got your commander, loader in the turret and the driver at the bottom. I found from experience that driver will tend to get knocked out very easily because the armour is weak, as you can see. It says up to 20, but in reality that's 14 mils on the front. I think it drops to 13 on the sides and down to 6 on the back of the hull. So, without much more ado in terms of stats, let's get on to some gameplay next. So, we're up on mines. It's a tier 2 game. Before I get started, one thing I forgot to say back then was the bonuses for it. So it's got a 30% silver bonus and a 70% crew XP bonus. So it's a much needed crew trainer down in the lower tiers for the British line. And you can see we get away to a roaring start here. You really do start to pick up some of that speed. But as you can see in a minute, the slightest hit of something like those logs, it really does slow you down, and that's that lower power to weight ratio coming into effect there. And I guess this kind of really fast play style highlights what these tanks were designed for. They were very much about reconnaissance. A lot of countries were doing this prior to the start of World War II, building tanks that weren't really designed to fight other tanks. They were meant to support infantry and to police things like European colonies. You can see there inside that massive burst potential that you get. Absolutely phenomenal. You can really ruin people. These tanks, you see it in other things from other countries like Panzer Is and Is in Germany, the M2, which is the other British light down in tier 2, it was a predecessor of the American Stuart. All light armour, fast, and kind of machine gun style armaments. And unfortunately this proved to be their downfall for the British in France. They landed with the BEF, and then they came up against German tanks like the Panzer II, which were equally as fast, but had much better armour and much better guns on them. And this is something that is actually reflected in the stats on World of Tanks as well. And most of these tanks were lost. Only a few made it back to the UK, at which point they were deemed obsolete. There were also interesting plans to up armour by shooting a 2-pounder gun in an open top turret and making it into a tank destroyer. Hint hint wargaming, I'd be very keen to see this. And they fared a bit better against the Italians in East Africa as well, where they were up against Italian tankettes. And speaking of tankettes, the TKS up on that hill up there is a prime example of what a tankette is. It's turretless, paper thin armour, also designed before World War II to be cheap, easy to mass produce. And again, they didn't really work for the same reasons that the Steadfast didn't, in that their armour was ineffective against their opponents, and their armament was also ineffective. But this is why I really like playing down at Tier 2, because it gives you an opportunity to play as these unique pre-war designs and their Daka gun kind of playstyle that you don't really get up at higher tiers. Higher tiers, once you start getting past 5, you're looking at mid to late war tank designs. They're designed with armour and armaments and a slower speed to match that would allow them to take on other tanks effectively, and it's just a very different style of gameplay. So to sum up the Steadfast, I think it looks gorgeous, and to get the most out of it, it's all about ambush gameplay and getting out of there without taking hits. So I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, hit subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Coffee Guy out.